5.
Oh, burn.
Okay, so the summary was, given this crossover here, you can fill in the rest of the 6 dots in 5 ways. And there is also 10 rotations. So you could 10 rotations of this structure. So you could have the crossing stuff here or here, for example. So there's 10 different rotations of this one structure. So you have this 10 times 5 equals 50 ways altogether for the first case of the 2 ones that cross. And the second case of the 2 things that cross will be second case. Also, for the things that cross, you can't have something like this, for example, because this one is isolated. So there's some stuff you can't have, or you can't have this because there's an odd number of these. So you can't pair these with, these must only pair within each other because you can't go outside the cross. You can't go outside this region, which so means you're restricted in what lines you can choose to cross. So something like this is allowed because it preserves some even numbers stuff over here. So if we look at this example, now we are forced to link these ones, and now for the remaining 4 of them, you can do this one, or you can do this over here. So that's 2 different ways. So now there's 2 ways for the second. Oh wait. There's 2 ways in the second case, and you times it by 10 for all the rotations. So this structure could be here, for example, or in all 10 different rotations. So 2 times 10 will be 20 for the second case. Okay, and in fact, it's not just rotations. You can also have reflections in this case. So you have a similar diagram that is a reflection that is not covered by the rotation. So you can also have this configuration, which is the reflection. So there's actually 20 altogether of these things. So you can have this one, or you can have this one. So there's 20. Oh wait, it should be, no, there's 20 here, so it'll be 40 altogether. So there's 40 ways. So there's 40 ways for those 2 diagrams altogether. And the next diagram is going to be is oh wait, no. So it starts here and 1, 3, 4. Okay, that looks correct. Okay, and now we are forced to do these stuff. So there's only 1 times the 10 rotations, so that's 1 times 10. And you can also check that all the rotations give different all the rotations are actually different. So you don't have two rotations that are symmetrical in this case. So you could confirm for yourself that the rotations are all different. And the last case is when the two crossing things look like this. So this is the final case, and it looks similar to previous cases, but in fact we haven't covered this case previously. And this one, you can have this, and then there's two ways of filling these last ones. So again, you have 2 here, and times it by all 10 rotations of these crosses, and you have 2 times 10 equals 20. And you can try finding more configurations for the cross yourself in the actual exam. So it's good to just double check that you covered all the cases. And in fact, yes, we have covered all the 5 cases for the 2 lines that cross. Now we can add up all the combinations to get 20 plus 40, what is it, 50 at the top, 50 plus 20 plus 20 plus 10 plus 20, and that is equal to 120, and that's the answer. So it's quite an interesting problem. It's an unusual situation where you have only exactly one pair of lines that cross. The best thing to do with these types of questions is to try to deal with the hardest, try to tackle the hardest part of the problem first, and then the easier part of the problem can fall into place later. You can try to hack away at the hardest part of the problem, which is the 2 lines that intersect. And then the rest of the lines fall into place quite easily. That's common technique in combinatorics. So you deal with the hardest part of the question, or the hardest condition of the question first. And you have a few cases, but you can use some tricks such as the rotation to deal with all the cases. And another main thing is none of these rotations interfere with each other, because this case is any rotation of this case is completely different to any rotation of this case because of the way 2 lines intersect. So you know that the 2 lines intersect completely differently in the 2 cases. So you know that one is not a rotational reflection of the second one. However, you also have 2 reflections here, which is a bit tricky. So there's 10 rotations and 10 rotations, and the 10 rotations in this one cannot be obtained from this one, so that actually adds up to 20. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say for this question. Let's have a look at the stats.
Oh yeah, so the stats is weird for these ones because they just give you an average. So this has like an average of
Seems low,
0.5.
but it seems fairly low.
Yeah, so it's really like, I mean, it's lower than question 10, for example. So it's the kind of question that, like, I think it's the kind of question that people won't be intimidated by, but I think it would be the kind of question that people will find really hard to complete completely, like fully solve. So if you look at the marking criteria, they basically just give you 1 mark for each of the cases. Yeah. So each of the classes of
I think it's, since the number is quite high, it's hard to bash aimlessly. So it's a type of question where you think you're solving it when you're not. It's some. Or
Yeah,
it's,
so very straightforward marking scheme for this one. Do you remember doing this one?
oh yeah, I do actually remember this question. I actually remember doing this question.
Oh,
And I remember it being annoying to just double check your answer. I don't remember
uh,
question 10.
do you remember
Although
spending
it's
how much time do you spend on this question? Do you remember how
how
much
many
time you had left?
uh not really, do I? Two.
So you probably didn't lose any marks in this exam, and if you did, where would you have lost it?
Did I get full marks in this? Probably got at least 33 out of. I think I remember getting at least 33 out of 35.
Oh, okay.
Or at least 30.
So if you lost 2 marks, would you say it's 9 and 10 or somewhere else?
Did I get an answer wrong in one of them? And then still got the working out marks.
That's possible.
Or maybe it was question 10. Maybe I started off a case something in question 10 which looked quite bashy.
Oh, I remember James Ben got like question 1 wrong on like my practice AIMO, like more than once.
Which practice one or something you just made recently?
Yeah, it was like it's just like because it's like instant answer and it's like instantly wrong. It's it's like almost like a trick question,
Oh.
you know. All right.